Welcome to the Coffee Club, broadcasting live from New York with your host, Felix, and co-host, Dr. Mark. So let's have a cup of coffee and enjoy the show.
There is no heaven. There is no hell. There is only this world and its dark reflection. And we do not know in which of the two worlds we are.
We are here. We are live. This is the Rebellious Rev.
This is the Doc.
And welcome to another Friday night.
Going to be reporting on another week gone by and controversy between Black Lives Matter and All Lives Matter. What's going on with the police, this war on, it seems to be across the country, sweeping the country, war on police, simply just because they're wearing a uniform. They do the job that really nobody wants to do,
That's true.
You always have some bad apples, but the bottom line is these people risk their lives to protect you. And they certainly deserve our support. And then you got Donald Trump, good old Donald, he's always making news. Interviewed by Hewitt last night. And it seems to be Felix, or Rev, depending upon how you want to be called today. It's up to you. He always has something negative to say when... the guy's a third-rate interviewer when the guy really is a very knowledgeable conservative journalist.
And
knows his stuff, and it seems Donald Trump said, well, if and when the time comes, I'll get to know these people. But, he said faces change in the Middle East so quickly, they may not even be in power when I'm president,
No, what? But what he based, what's his name? Hewitt was on the show a few minutes ago. You missed him, and he actually said him and Trump are good friends, and what he said, he doesn't take seriously. And what he basically said is, Trump said what's very reasonable, and this is what Hewitt is saying today. Trump said he would get advisors that know what they're doing.
Yeah, well, that sort of reminds me of Mayor Wagner in New York. Mayor Wagner was a three-time mayor in New York, and what Mayor Wagner did was, Mayor Wagner was a great delegator, okay? Mayor Wagner had committees on everything, okay? He appointed people to be in charge of the committees, and these people had carte blanche. They had total authority. He was more or less of an overseer. Okay? Now, you can't, when you're governing, when you're the executive leader of the most powerful country in the world, you can't constantly delegate.
No,
you have to know what's going on.
No, he didn't say delegate. I mean, do like you're talking about.
He said he'd have advisors.
He'd have 4 advisors, and they would talk to him. They have to. What do you think? Obama just say, bomb these guys? Or he's got a military. They all have got to have military advisors. And he said says right now he's not privy to most of the stuff, but by the time he's elected, he will be briefed on stuff, and he will be knowledgeable.
But you see, the thing is, sitting congressmen and senators, some of them, I wouldn't say all of them, but some of them have foreign policy experience. Even governors, make trips overseas if they have hopes of eventually, running for national office. They have to know these things. You can't just talk off the top of your head the way you and I do. Seriously, really. You and I know just enough to do our show. I'm no expert. You're no expert. But the bottom
Excuse me?
You don't even know what esoteric ministry is. All you know is you got to kill somebody if you tell them what it is.
Exactly.
Well, but the point being, the Donald has to, I mean, he did it with Megyn Kelly when she asked him the hard questions. Anybody who asks him a hard question, he comes down real hard on. Very, he just lambasts them. And you can't do that. These people are just doing their job.
Yeah. Plus, you hear people who know Trump personally, and they say when he's in the boardroom, he's not the same person that's on TV.
Well, I'm sure he's putting on a show for. He thinks he's still doing The Apprentice.
No, he's putting on a show basically for the people. The people love it.
Well, the only other president I know who put on a show for 8 years.
What, Ronald Reagan?
Exactly.
And
the best acting gig this man ever had was when he was president. I mean, before, in order to make it in Hollywood, he had a co-star with a monkey.
And most Republicans think he's one of the best presidents in history.
Yeah, they could quote Ronald Reagan and they could mention his name all they want, but the bottom line is, if Ronald Reagan was a Republican in today's society, he would be called a rhino. Republican in name only. He certainly, while they like to say that he was conservative, he's not nearly as conservative as the Republican Party is today, okay? And don't forget, Donald Trump likes to bring this up all the time. Reagan was a Democrat before he became a Republican, because he says that because his, the other Republican hopefuls for the presidency say that about Trump, that he was a Democrat before he was a Republican, all right? So Trump just says the same thing about Reagan.
It means nothing. Yeah.
I was just going to say, you know what means nothing? The fact that we didn't give people our phone number yet.
I don't remember it. What is it, 646?
Well, you don't have to call it up. They do.
Oh, what do they have to call? 646?
595-3275.
Call in.
Chat room is open. If you don't feel like talking, you could always type a question. We promise not to divulge your name if, you don't want people to know that you actually listen to us. I mean, that's your prerogative.
I don't know. We have a lot of people with strange names. Citizen X.
Well, no, you see, now you're insulting actual listeners.
No, I'm saying the ones that don't want to leave.
No, but that was his name.
Do you think his real name is Citizen X?
Why not? A lot of people, when they come on these shows, they don't divulge their real name.
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
They got screen names and stuff,
Exactly. So that's what I'm saying. They don't have to give the real names. They give the screen names like Citizens X or Flycatch. We
haven't heard from him in a long time.
We've had a number of listeners who've had interesting screen names.
Yes, we have a lot of listeners who call once or twice and then either we scare them away or they get scared themselves.
Why are you scaring away your customers, your listeners?
Not me.
Well, by telling them that, people, tell them everybody stays and listens to us.
Everybody's welcome on this show. Everybody can have an opinion. You know what I say about opinions.
Well,
and everybody's got one. It's just that sometimes people are afraid to let their opinions go public. Okay, nothing wrong with that. Everybody's entitled to an opinion. That's the way we look at it here on the Coffee Club.
And the Rebellious Reverend
in the Dock.
And
so we're going to be talking about guns again because I don't think we ever really finished. We did talk briefly about it on Monday.
I remember when I was in the Army, I don't know if you remember that, in the training, the drill sergeant used to yell at us when we called it a gun, and he used to say, "This is my weapon, this is my gun. My weapon is for shooting, my gun is for fun." Did you get that speech?
Oh, we used to march to it. What are you talking about?
Oh, okay.
You know, in the morning, especially when you were getting dressed.
All right. Anyway, what we're talking about? Trump.
Well, you were talking about fun. I don't know. It looks like we got somebody in there, right? Maybe.
No, that. Oh yeah, they're already logged out.
Well, you started talking about sex. You know,
No, you
this is
started
my
talking
weapon,
about
this
how.
is my gun.
No, you started talking about listeners don't bother coming back, and he says, "Oh,
No,
what kind of show is
that
this?"
guy came on after you were talking about weapons and guns.
This guy came at 09. When was 09? 2 minutes ago.
Well, ladies and gentlemen,
Whatever.
also, you know, there seems to be one thing I want to discuss. There seems to be a war going on nationwide against the men and women who protect and serve. You heard about the G.I. Joe, Lieutenant Glinowitz in northeastern Illinois, who was responding to what was supposed to be, I believe, a domestic call or something, shot by 3 men. All they know is that they described them as 2 whites and a black. They're not describing it any further than that. They want to make sure that they have, the proper description. They have no names. It seems to be another manhunt going on, just like it was in upstate New York when those 2 guys escaped from the upstate correctional facility. The man was beloved by everyone who knew him. The father of 4 boys, 2 of them serving our country overseas. He was on the force for 32 years. Okay. Obviously, when somebody is on a job that long, you continue doing it because you love the work that you're doing. Because he could have gotten out a long time ago.
No, he was just up for retirement the next 2 months or something.
Well, it's not so much being up for retirement. After 20 years, if you're a cop, after 22 years, technically you
depends
could retire.
what done. You don't know. Not every department. This is in New York. Other departments, you have to be 55 or 65 years old. The poorer counties, they can't afford to have cops retire after 20 years.
Well, whatever the case may be, but when you got somebody who is a cop that long, usually they stay cops because they love the job that they're doing. And he used to mentor Eagle Scouts in his community. He used to teach survival classes in the high school. The man was definitely involved with community life.
Yeah, and I think he was 2 months away from his retirement or 3 months away, something like that. They were talking about it. He was close to his retirement.
Downright shame. And then, what was it? You showed me an article having to do with an Arby's. I don't know where it was. I didn't particularly see the geographical location, but a female sergeant went into an Arby's and the clerk refused to serve her because she was wearing a uniform, because she was a cop. Now, the powers that be at Arby's say that's certainly not indicative of how they train their people. She wasn't asking for a free meal. The bottom line is, yes, if you go into a Starbucks or a Dunkin' Donuts, the police tend to get free coffee, but it's not really free because they always throw a couple of bucks in the tip jar. So a $2 coffee is still costing them $2, but it goes to the person behind the counter.
Not the company, so it is free.
Well, you know something?
But nobody cares about that. It's not important. A cup of coffee here or there. And I've seen a lot of cops. I've seen cops pay for the coffee a lot of times.
I remember